Yeah.
Okay, are you ready? We're going to talk about Ready Player One movie versus the book. And this is a book by Ernest Cline. And the movie is directed by Steven Spielberg. And this is kind of a big deal for our family because it's the only book that all four of us have read. My husband's not pictured, but this is
Eva.
And Dylan.
And it's Juliet. So come in a little bit, Dylan. And okay, so they're going to help me out. We're going to talk about the book. So Ready Player One is a science fiction book set in 2045. And it's about a kid named Wade, who's an orphan living with his aunt. And he lives in the stacks, which are
trailers stacked on top of each other.
And to kind of in society, it's kind of dystopian, and everybody tries to get away from it by living in this virtual world called the Oasis, which was invented by a guy named
James
Halliday. And he has passed away somewhat recently. And there's this big mystery. A couple years. Yeah. And so this big mystery, like, is he's created this puzzle. And if you figure it out, if you get all these Easter eggs. A game hunt, exactly.
Easter egg hunt.
Yeah. And so if you get all that, then you can run the company.
Contest.
It's a contest. So there's some gamer kids.
Get, all of his money.
And you get all his money. So it's a huge thing. So, of course, there's a corporation after IOI, totally after it. And they have money and resources.
They want to charge people for like platinum and gold passes. And that's not really what the game's supposed to be.
And put ads all over. Sound familiar? So, yeah. So that's kind of the setup. So this virtual world called the Oasis.
And it's a VR game.
Yes, VR. So they kind of have headsets, kind of like this. Actually, it's on the picture. So,
but more futuristic.
More futuristic. And I liked how in the movie you could actually see what they were seeing on the outside, which you wouldn't with the VR ones we have now. You can't see what other people are seeing. But okay, overall impressions on the movie, guys. What do you think?
Very entertaining.
It was
plenty
good.
of references.
Yeah.
Good visuals. Nice special effects. Yeah, overall very entertaining.
So overall, the movie was really good. So let's start talking about the differences, right? So Dylan, you mentioned references. So what do you mean by references? What are they referencing? Here, keep coming out of frame. Come in. So
in the Oasis, everybody can customize their character. So there's like Deadpool, Harley Quinn, like all stuff like that. So every time the film goes into the Oasis, you get to see all these different people who
like walking around, like they're just walking down the street, and all these people have avatars that they choose. And then you're talking about references, and the ones I know from the 80s. That's why you said, Mom, you got to read this book because there's all this 80s music and everything. And I was all really, yeah, I'm in. And then, but you liked it too. And you guys know the 80s references too. Can you tell me why you know that?
The Shining.
The Shining, which kids talk about now. Like you and your friends have all seen it. Yeah. What else?
Terminator, which
But how do you guys know the references from the 80s is what I meant.
I don't know. I know a lot of 80s references for some reason. So. It's like totally 80s stuff is in pop culture.
Yeah,
so,
it's popular right now too.
Yeah. And I was kind of thinking like in the 60s for me, like then it was, loving the 80s. Yeah, totally. So, but for the 60s for me, I knew a lot about my mom and dad's kind of music too. So I think maybe that's a generational thing for sure. So, and then there were some other more current ones, like you're saying, Deadpool and
then there's Halo. I saw Halo characters, and Looney Tunes isn't really recent, but
you know it.
But I saw some characters from that.
A lot of characters from other video games since it is a video game.
So it's like a bunch of can you come in? It's like a bunch of inside jokes, right? Or inside things. Okay, so and there was even a Citizen Kane reference for the film people. If you know that I don't even want to tell them what it was because I want them to kind of discover it on their own because it's like the key to the end of the movie. So so let's talk about characters next. What did you guys think of the character portrayal from the book to the movie?
Well, they didn't describe a lot of their characters' backstories very well, and I feel like one of the characters' backstories, I wasn't impressed on how they described it because I really just said like who the character was instead of like actually explaining her backstory.
In the movie, they didn't explain the backstory.
Yeah,
that's kind of
They
like
just-
a classic
But
complaint.
it was
about,
just like, oh, this is what this character, who it is, and what it looks like, what they look like.
Mhm. Dylan, your turn.
And so it is the book. It's a lot longer, and the movie it has to wrap everything up in a short amount of time. So it goes over less details of the characters.
Yeah, I
and how
think
they interact with each other.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So you cannot put the whole, it's almost 400 pages, the book. So
Mhm.
how are you going to put that? So that's a lot of choices you got to make. And actually, I read an interview where Steven Spielberg said it was like the third hardest film for him to make. And he worked with a lot of ILM. So we're kind of, okay, so time-wise. So
Also, the storyline, we should talk about that because
Yeah.
it was
Yes, that's where I
way
was going.
different. In the book, there was a contest and an Easter egg. There were two separate things, and the contest was to win the thing, and the Easter egg was a different thing. But in the movie, it was like the Easter egg is the contest. Like if you find the Easter egg, you win the contest. So, and then like the tasks were different and everything.
it was a lot different. They changed.
It was a lot different.
Yeah. So I think that overall, I think that if you didn't read the book, do you think you could still enjoy the movie?
Yeah. It
Or
was
what about
a
the
good movie.
opposite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that it did super great was the very opening scene when you see Wade coming down, and then he's all, it's like live action, but then he puts on his headset and the
Mhm.
camera goes straight to his eyeball and then
Yeah.
into the headset, and then you're into the Oasis. I
Yeah.
thought that was seamless. Like that's Spielberg at
It
his
immerses
best.
you.
Yeah, it immerses you, and
Mhm.
you're into the story right away. So it was really great. So overall, what would you guys rate it?
I'd rate it a 9 out of 10.
The movie itself would be like an 8.5, but if you were talking about like how much it portrayed the book, then it would be like a 4 because it wasn't that accurate to the book. The
Okay.
basics were fine, but then the actual storyline was like not that great.
Yeah, book or movie? Choose.
Book.
Movie, because it only takes 2.5 hours to watch. Versus a week for me to read.
Okay. Well, yeah. So overall, there you have it. There's the Ready Player One versus book versus movie. Thanks for joining us, and thank you guys for being on camera with me. And I love how we, always finish each other's
Sandwiches.
sandwiches. Good night, everybody. Goodbye, everybody. It's not even good night.